Before the story can begin, please tell us the main character's name and the name of the one they love. Please know that the main character is male, with a female lover before deciding. Nathan.
Is it gonna be me?
What?
Wait me.
See? Elijah.
My
So-
internet's been terrible.
Perfect.
Oh my god, alright.
Okay, look. Main character is Nathan and their love is Elijah.
Is your
Now, please know that this is a short story created and produced by Michaela Laws with the aid of Christopher Escalante, blah 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 blah. Patrons on Patreon. For the visually impaired, please press combination Shift V for self-voicing. The creator hopes you enjoyed the story. Do you wanna go for Shift? Okay. I think it's part of the story. This is mine, hun. That's yours.
I'm sorry. The chemicals that made contact with his eyes rendered him completely blind.
Oh, you had a car crash and you became blind.
Fuck.
Oh no,
He's blind?
he's blind. That's me. That's my line.
I'm afraid so. There's nothing we can do to save his eyes.
But there's a voice, by the way, so you don't have to read it.
There's nothing you can do. Nothing. You can't just leave him like this.
There's a voice in that one too. So all
I'm
characters
sorry,
have
but
one.
his eyes are too damaged to fix. He is not able to
No,
even
I
register hues
I don't need
anymore
to read
because
mine.
of the damage.
Oh.
He won't ever be able to see again.
He won't be able to see it. He won't be able to see anything again. He's not able to even register hues anymore. Oh no. Oh, sorry. Alright, I'm gonna read yours. I lost my eyes. I was no longer able to see the world around me. I can't see the sun, the stars, the trees, my friends, my family, her, nothing. All because of a drunk driving accident. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream and curse the world. But what good would that have what good would that have done for what I had lost? I wasn't able to see the world anymore. I wasn't allowed to. I had to accept it. All I could do is sit in that hospital bed and make friends with the new darkness I was forced to see and endure for the rest of my life. Oh my god, you're gonna have to kill me if that happened to me, Nate.
Jesus Christ. I'm dying in about fucking 20 minutes.
It's gonna happen for me now. I couldn't help but let a wry smile grow on my lips, staring at the darkness in my mind. Not even my imagination would let me remember what the world looked like at that moment. How cruel. I heard a set of heels click their way towards me, growing louder and faster with each step. They were frantic, stopping and gaining speed as they clacked through the room. All at once, I was surrounded by a warm pair of arms with a body crushed against mine. Right, could you hear better? Could you hear me better now, Luck? Alright. My body wanted to push away whoever was on me out of instinct, but as the scent of perfume I knew and adored reached my nose, I relaxed within the arms wrapped around me. That's probably me. Elijah. So weird. Her weeping into my shoulder broke my heart. I couldn't remember when she came, but when she did, I recalled the choked sob she released at what she saw. I could only imagine it. A bruised, burnt, and damaged man in a hospital bed.
Fair enough.
Alright, is this better? Oh, I won't be able to drink tea then. I can only imagine it. A bruised, burnt, and damaged man in a hospital bed with wraps over his eyes and injections on every open stretch of skin on his body that wasn't covered by gauge or bandages. It would be a scary sight indeed, especially if the one in the bed was her boyfriend. If it were a prank, it would be one of the cruelest ever imagined. A small sliver of me wished it was a prank. It had helped that she was a war veteran. She fought hard and was given honors upon her leaving the army, but she never struck off the images of death and destruction engraved in her memory. I don't think anyone could shake off memories like war. However, to see the one you loved damaged and so close to death was probably like watching a fellow soldier fading away in the aftermath of of a battle. Are you alright? Her cries let me know that she was both happy that I was alive, but heartbroken at the damage I endured and had to forever live with. All I could do, all I could do nothing but hold her and let her weep. When she stopped, she embraced her embrace around me weakened, and I felt her pull away from my body slightly. Her breath let me know that she was in front of me, staring into my wrap-covered eyes.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cry so much, but this whole thing is...
I could hear her whimper a bit in reply, letting me assume that she was agreeing and fighting back tears again. I gently lifted a hand up and tried to guide it to where her face was. As I neared the warmth her skin emitted, her hand gently lifted my wrist and placed my palm over her cheek, allowing me to land on a target. I let a small but sad smile grow on my lips as I ran my thumb over her skin. She felt soft, but her cheek was slightly damp from the tears she shed. I could barely picture it despite not wanting to at all. What happened happened. We can't just live in the regret of the pain. We can get through this. Her head gently nodded against my hand, and I felt her nuzzle against my palm and fingers lovingly, covering my hand with hers. I felt helpless. I wanted to tell her I would be fine. I wanted to comfort her with more than words of strength. However, the dark feeling of anger and sadness in my chest wasn't going away. It crawled around in my core and made me want to thrash around, screaming and cursing my situation. I didn't want it to affect her, so I simply caressed her cheek as calmly as I could. I had to be strong, if not for her, then for myself. Oh, that was 3 months ago. 3 months ago, my life without sight had begun. It wasn't a life I wanted to start, but it was a life I had to live whether I liked it or not. Despite the fear behind the idea, living without sight was not as bad as people made it seem to be. I was given a foldable walking cane and even a seeing eye dog. He was a good dog, very loyal. His name was... Ashley became my best friend really quickly. Oh my god, I wanna cry now. Oh my god.
Come on, you're okay.
Just because I was blind didn't mean I couldn't work. I've had to raise the middle finger to so many people about that fact when they didn't believe me. I was a writer, blogging about my life and making progress on a story I hoped would sell well. Before the crash that took my eyes, I was the best in the field. After the crash, I was still the best. The news company I worked for was so relieved when I told them I could still write for them despite my lack of sight. How? A voice command program my family bought for me from my computer. They knew how important writing was to me, so they got together and bought a program that allowed me to work with just my voice. It was pretty nifty to say the least. It would read everything on my screen for me, so I didn't feel lost, and it would be my grammar assistant during my deep writing modes, making sure I wouldn't screw up a sentence by reading back my work. Still, waking up in the morning and doing my daily routine was hard. Even when I had my vision, I didn't want to leave my bed every morning. My bed became an entrancing and comfortable lover that refused to let me go until demanded. However, my alarm clock was not a friend to me or my bed. I woke that day to the screeching of my alarm clock in my ear. As much as I needed to get up, I wanted the loud noise to stop first. I didn't want to get up yet, so I covered my ears, burying my head in the bed with a pillow over me. However, as the alarm continued to sing its dastardly tone, I couldn't help but sigh. I slowly turned, mentally glared in the clock's direction and turned it off. I finally rose from my bed and rubbed my face, trying to wipe the tiredness from it. My back arched and my legs didn't feel like walking, but my mind was set on writing another chapter of my story and finishing an article for work. Come on, lazy asses, let's move. One foot moved across the bed to the edge, followed by the other in reluctance. My body slowly made its way up, and I found myself standing up on the cool wooden floor of my bedroom. I tilted my head back and stretched, letting out a relaxed groan before shaking out my limbs and rubbing my neck. Every inch of me screamed to get back under the covers and rest the day away. Unfortunately, work was calling my name, and I couldn't let it off the hook today. I began to recall my step pattern, listing how many steps it took to get to the bathroom, then to the kitchen, then to my work desk from my spot. It took a while, but eventually I had the entire layout of my apartment memorized by counting steps and feeling the furniture. It was small enough to where it was manageable for me, but it was still a challenge. I lived in a very nice studio apartment fit for rich creative minds. I was paid very well for my writing work, but spent very little personally, so I had good money to spend on living expenses. If I wanted to, I could have gotten a house in a suburb like Elijah. Alright. I made enough to where I could have owned a house and probably could have settled comfortably as a suburban recluse. However, things something about living in the city felt right and kept me on my toes. Plus, I didn't have to worry about heights. It's not like I could have seen out my window anyway. Following my morning routine, I went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, stepped back out, went to the kitchen and began to fix myself coffee. Living without seeing each object or surface I touched was hard, but I was careful enough to leave everything in the same spot each time I did something. Made it easier to find things later. The buttons on my coffee machine had markings on it, showing me which button did what. I went for my usual black coffee and poured my sugar and cream, conveniently placed by the machine, into my coffee mug. Something about the scent of coffee calmed me, despite the drink itself being made to give energy. Maybe it was the warm and earthy undertone to it that gave it that extra ability, a trick of the mind. It was fascinating to think of such things. It gave me a new avenue to explore for descriptions and emotions, instead of relying on my eyes to give me all the visual details, perfect for a writer. As my mug began to fill with the dark liquid of the gods, I began to go through my day. Work, walk Ashley, lunch, work, call Elijah, dinner, bed. Yep, sounds about right. My life and daily schedule had to be kept simple and memorized for the sake of my disability. If something was out of place, I'd have to rearrange mapping out my walking or stop all my plans to figure it all out. It wasn't a large deal, as most changes occurred from events out of my control, like Ashley scratching up the couch or Elijah making a surprise visit. As long as I had time to get my bearings, I could get back on track. However, sometimes I could help a little detour of my own accord. I want a donut. 2 steps to the right and I was in front of the fridge. Opening the door, however, released a foul scent I couldn't help but gag at. Ugh, what is that smell? It was a foul combination of garlic, soy sauce, rotten vegetables, and extremely bad when rotten together. My craving for donuts had disappeared though. With a sigh, I held my breath and reached into the fridge. The smell had practically covered the entire fridge, so I couldn't make out where it was inside. I had to trust my instincts. Instantly, my hand grazed over a container that was partially open. I knew I found the culprit. Gotcha! I wrapped my hands around the container and pulled it out, sniffing it gingerly. I gagged, but I was correct. I found the smelly beast. I quickly made 4 steps to the left, knowing that I would land in front of the garbage bin, and guided my foot to the pedal that would lift open its lid. However, my toes brushed against the fur, causing me to stop. A paw had already pressed down on the pedal for me. Ashley, thanks, buddy. A friendly bark made me smile as I tossed the container of Chinese out. As the lid closed, I lowered my clean hand and reached for Ashley. He was intuitive enough to know what I wanted, so he lifted his head and bumped it under my palm. He was indeed a smart and caring friend. I gave Ashley a pet before going to the sink, 1 more step to the left. As I turned on the water and washed my hands, my computer started playing a familiar tone. Ah, crap. I shouted, hoping my computer's microphone could pick up over the sound of running water. As the tone stopped, I let out a sigh. My microphone had amazing reach. At least I didn't have to have my phone on me at all times to keep in contact with the outside world. When I was at home, my phone was never on. I connected it to my computer's messenger program so I didn't have to fiddle with the buttons to answer calls. All I had to do was use my voice. I dried my hands on a towel near the sink as a voice came up on my computer.
Hey, you there?
A smile grew on my face as I left the kitchen, grabbing my coffee mug on the way out and walked towards my desk. Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
Oh, great. You're up. Did you have your coffee?
Just made it. By the way, the Chinese food you left here yesterday went bad. I had to toss it
Oh my
out.
god. I'm so sorry. I hope it wasn't a problem. Shit, I'm such a dumbass.
No, it was fine. I got it and cleaned it out.
Still, I should have tossed it out. Sorry.
I knew she felt bad for ruining my routine, but something as small as that was not a big deal, especially knowing that she didn't intend to leave it there. She was still sensitive about my limitations. She meant well. Still, I heard silence on the other end. However, I knew she was listening.
Are you sure?
Positive. Besides, I needed to check the fridge anyway. I wanted donuts.
You have donuts?
I thought I did. I didn't have any though.
Want me to pick you up some donuts?
You're the best girlfriend in the world. Oh.
Stop! You're making me blush.
Oh. Is it? I haven't even gotten to the best part where I talk about how soft your skin is, or how much the smell of your perfume turns me on.
Pervert! I'm in public!
Sounds about right.
I wasn't that hardcore.
Um,
More hardcore shit than that in the day.
I imagined her face, flushed with a beautiful pink hue. She was a strong, independent woman, but once in a while I would get her to blush, a skill I was proud of. She didn't mind, and her blush made her almost glow. She was gorgeous already. To see her blushing again would have been a dream come true. Still, I let the image resonate in my mind before going back to reality. So, how was your day?
Well, my day was pretty okay. Got stuck in traffic the first part of the morning, but I managed to make it to the station.
I hope you weren't late to work.
No, I made it on time. I clocked in, but I got stuck hauling files up from the basement to the top floor.
Did they screw you over again?
Yeah, but luckily the boss found out and gave me a couple hours break, so I can come visit you if you want.
Can I try? Hi, Luck, can you still hear me?
Great, I'll stop by a shop and bring the donuts over.
I can't wait.
Alright, I'm going to let you go.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Absolutely.
For a moment, I heard silence on the other end. Did I surprise her? We didn't say I love you often to each other. Many people think that couples need constant reminding and phrasing repetition to ensure their love. We were different. You didn't use the phrase often in order to keep its genuine meaning. To say it consistently dulls the emotion behind it and makes it bland and typical, which was something neither of us wanted. I at least wanted the full feeling of love to be in the phrase every time I said it to Elijah. Finally, she spoke up. I could hear the love in her voice as she repeated the phrase back to
I love
me.
you too.
We both said our byes and she hung up, letting me have a chance to breathe out a sigh. It was nice to be able to talk to her and relax a bit before revving myself back up for the work day ahead. A sip of my coffee made me sink farther into my chair, despite the caffeine wanting to work its magic on my brain. The taste gently swirled in my mouth across my tongue. Coffee wasn't for everyone, but it was definitely for me. My mind began to wander onto everything that was going on in my story and what I had to do to make progress today. Whether it was a chapter or multiple, I had to start and remind myself where I had left off. It was slow, but the story was getting to a very nice dramatic event where the hero would have to choose between staying with his love or trying to live his life. I wasn't sure, however, which road he was going to go on. He had many benefits on both sides, but the story had to end cleanly. I let out a sigh before turning into my desk. As I turned to it, my messenger began to ring again. What the? I expected it to be Elijah, forgetting to tell me something or the like. This time, however, it was another person, a guy friend of mine named. Do you want Josh or Luck? Louis!
Yo, you there, bud?
Yo, you there, bud? Oh, sounds about right. We had been friends for a couple of years, and he was the second person to visit me after the accident, after Elijah. He was an editor and advertised me like crazy to his social medias. I was lucky to have a friend like him. In work, I depended on him with my writing, and he depended on me for my skill. As a friend, we were like brothers. I was even his best man at his wedding to his partner Tyler. Oh my god! It was a perfect friendship. Yeah, Louis, I'm here. What's up?
Nothing much. I just wanted to check in on you.
I don't need checking in, dude. You'll get your chapter by tonight.
I know. Can't a friend just be concerned with how his friend is doing?
An actual visit would be nice. I haven't heard you play Dungeon Era in forever, and I'm desperate to know the ending.
I've been a bit busy, man. You understand, right? I promise. The next time I'm free, I'll come over and play Dungeon Era.
Era? Oh, sorry, Era. Alright, man, how have you been? Then came the free talking. I didn't chat often, so calls like these were nice. Sure, they scrambled my time a bit, but I didn't want to chain myself into a schedule all of the time. Our chat was full of news from each of our lives. Louis was, of course, delicate about talking about things requiring sight with me, which made me shake my head. I would never get used to it, feeling like I was being handled with kid gloves. At the same time, however, I understood why. No one wanted to offend me, and I didn't want to get mad at the wrong thing. It was a safe balance. Still, it was good to talk with Louis. For some reason, I felt good, despite my schedule for the day being thrown off. Maybe I needed this break. Oh, hi, Luck. Good you're back. My mind had been focused on the past recently. Perhaps this was karma telling me to relax and just let the day flow. Of course, I had to do some work, but it wasn't exactly backed into a role by deadlines or anything. Maybe I should let my schedule die for
I have
today.
a question for you. There's this writers gala happening this weekend, and I got invited since I'm an editor. Obviously, Tyler and I are going to go, but I was wondering if you wanted to come too.
Gala? Just my luck. A social event. It's not that I didn't like parties. In fact, I loved going out to parties. Elijah usually came with me and would practically still steal the show from whoever we're attending for. But that was when I still had my sight. The fancy outfits, the colorful food tables, the lights, and everything visual about galas made them worth going to. When you can only see a world filled with one color, galas aren't exactly fun. I don't know, Louis, it's just.
I understand.
He was just trying to be a good friend. I understood perfectly. I'll think about it, okay? I'll bring it up to Elijah and see what she thinks.
Sounds good.
As I finished my coffee, Louis and I said our byes and ended the call. Getting checked in once in a while was a good reminder that I wasn't alone. That thought made me smile a bit. Alright. Computer, open Word document chapter 7. My computer replied with a tone of acknowledgement, letting me know that I had been pulled up and was ready to go. Repeat last paragraph. I listened as the computer's voice system began to read the last paragraph I had written to me. The hero was torn between two situations. On one end, he had to save his kingdom from an incoming enemy army. On the other, the one he loved was in danger and needed him beside her. I sat and pondered both paths. If he saved the kingdom, He'd be able to help save thousands of people, but his love would fade away. If he saved his love, he would never be able to face his comrades again for deserting them and just be a wanderer for the rest of his life. It was a tough decision, but I was unsure of how to let the story unfold. The words naturally flowed out of my mouth, letting my instinct take control of my story. Uh, I nodded to myself what I had said. Let's make this story completely romance based. If action came about, it could come later. Right now, the hero had to save the one he loved from death. I thought about the two sentences I had said, noting of the path my story was going to go on. Did I really want to make my book like this? Would this story be intriguing enough for an audience to grasp? I let out a sigh and tried to relax. I knew I couldn't beat myself up over it. Nothing good would come from it. I continued to paint my story, following the path I had set for it. I didn't want to go back now. Sentence upon sentence flowed from my lips, carving out the world and spinning the tale I desired to weave. Eventually, Elijah did visit with a dozen assorted donuts. The smell was divine, and the taste was even better. The glaze, despite it being sticky, was sugary and warm. Perfect. I was grateful, but Elijah couldn't stay long. She told me that she had to return to work to get a head start on organizing the file she had retrieved that morning. Still, it was good to hear her voice and feel her embrace. I felt happy within her arms. The rest of my day came and went, with me dancing between work, walking, and playing with Ashley and eating. My life was simple and I enjoyed it. Many people dream of doing crazy things, but I was quite content with my simple pleasures. As dinner time came around and my previously ordered pizza had arrived for me, I uncontrollably began to think about Lewis's invitation. Laying the pizza box on my dining table and sitting down, I pondered the idea of going. I hadn't been to a social event since the accident, and many people would want to see me, knowing how much Lewis spoke about me publicly. How would it be like? I'd walk in, unable to actually see anyone, and randomly feel people take my hand to shake it or guide me somewhere. I wouldn't be able to bring Ashley because it was obviously a formal event. As much as Ashley was a good boy, he was still a dog. Well, maybe him being a service dog would be enough reason to let him in. I shook my head. Formal event meant pompous attendees, which also meant allergies as excuses. I took a slice of pizza and bit a piece of it off, tasting the delicious cheese and sauce meld together in my mouth. The local pizza place I ordered from was better than any chain pizza place by far. They proved it every time I ordered pizza from them. The pleasure my dinner gave my taste buds distracted me from hearing my messenger go off. Quickly, I swallowed my food and commanded my computer to answer, being that I sat in the chair closest to my desk. I knew it was Elijah, so I quickly grabbed a couple of slices of pizza, placed them on some napkins that I had set next to the box, and walked over to sit down at my computer. Let me just say, I feel there's no background sound now, and I feel like that I'm dreading that call. I'm supposed to hear because oh,
Hey, did you eat dinner?
all right, all right, she's all right. I was literally stuffing my face a couple of seconds ago.
That's good, I guess. How's writing?
I had to be confident in what I wrote. It was my story after all, my contribution to the world of creative storytelling. Sure, it had some rocky bits here and there, but every story had pitfalls and snares lying about its paragraphs and pages. But hey, I need to talk to you about something. Lewis invited me to a
You
writer's
did?
gala.
What did you tell him?
I said I'd think about it. I had to admit, I was curious about going. However, I wanted to hear what Elijah had to say first. What do you
Me?
think?
Why do you want my opinion?
I valued her opinion and wanted to know what she thought of the situation, especially since she truly knew my predicament.
Well, I think you. I mean, I think you should, but I don't know. I mean, will it just be him and you?
Well, if I went, I would want you to go with me. Besides, I hoped she was, but it was true. It had been forever since we went out. Might as well go out together at the
Well,
gala.
I mean, I guess I could go with you and help you around as your date.
So does that mean
I
we're
guess so.
going?
Oh, damn, what am I going to wear?
And who's gonna look after Ashley? That's the first question you should be worrying about. What about me? I'm afraid I'll put on the wrong blazer with the wrong pair of pants. I tried to joke about around, but Elijah didn't really find my blind jokes amusing. There were rare times she'll stifle a laugh, but I eventually wanted her to relax about the ordeal. I was blind, but I was still the man she had been dating for years. Nothing had changed
Ugh.
that. I heard her let I heard her let out a sigh, one obviously in mild annoyance, before
Are you
speaking
sure
again.
you're up for it? It'll be the first time you've really been out in a long time.
I'm sure I can't stay cooped up in here forever. I was right. I couldn't recluse myself forever. I had to really get out of the house, and the gala was the perfect way to do so. I was set. With Elijah by my side, I would surely have a good time. The week ran by extremely fast. Elijah rearranged her entire schedule to make sure she could find a nice dress and help me with my outfit. I needed a new suit, so I went out and got one. According to both Elijah and my dog, giving his approval in the form of bark I recognized, I looked damn good in my new suit. I began to memorize the fabric feel of my new blazer and slacks. I had to remember to match them instead of pairing the items with other articles of clothing. As a safety precaution, Elijah set it right behind my bedroom door, separate from my other outfits so I can find it and not get confused. She was always a step ahead of me. Finally, the night of the gala had arrived. I had dressed up and made sure I was entirely fit to go out. A friendly neighbor took in Ashley for the night, letting me know that they were happy to see me finally go out. I let a smile grow on my lips at the statement. This was a good idea. This was a very good idea that I feel like you're gonna regret later. Ooh. A knock rapped on my door, ushering me to rush to the front to let in my visitor. I knew who it was, so I wanted to be quick, grabbing my keys and wallet at the same time. I wrapped my hand around the doorknob and turned, opening it and taking in the sudden scent of delicate perfume. I couldn't help but let out a pleased sigh at the scent. It was my favorite smell and I knew exactly who was wearing it. You smell terrific.
Thank you. You look absolutely.
I felt her body lean against mine, the fabric of her dress slightly rustling against my suit. I knew she wanted a kiss, but we had to get going soon. Nah, kiss her. This don't take long. I wrapped my arms gently around her waist and kissed her, knowing her face would tilt to align my lips perfectly to hers.
Hmm.
As she pulled away, I could hear a happy sigh escape her lips. I smiled. As weird as the statement is, her lips tasted divine. Come on. I gently pulled her hand up and wrapped it under my arm, naturally wanting to be the guide. How ironic was the sight, a blind man leading his date. As soon as I closed the door, off we went. Something in my head warned me, however, that tonight was important. It was like a premonition, or a sign that the gala had a lot more in store than just drinking and socializing. This night was going to be a life changer. We exited the apartment building with Elijah guiding me to her car. She led me to the passenger side door and let go of my arm to open it for me. I felt a little irked that she was getting the door for me. I couldn't see the door, but I knew how to open it. I had to remind myself she was taking care of me. If she didn't love me, she wouldn't be trying to help me make my life easier. As much as it felt like I was a child, I didn't have a disability that needed to be taken into consideration. Elijah was just being a good person and even more caring girlfriend.
You're
Thanks,
welcome.
Elijah. I heard the door click open, causing me to step back a bit so I wouldn't get hit accidentally. Elijah guided me towards her car, keeping the door open for me to step
Duck
inside.
your head.
I ducked my head as she instructed and managed to sit down in the comfy passenger seat before she closed the door. Elijah walked around the car and entered the driver's side. Oh, she's not gonna accidentally have an accident with this, right? Well, I don't know, fuck's sake. We both strapped on our seatbelts at the same time with me fumbling over where the latch was, before hearing the affirmative click of the lock. It was strange how I was able to pick out each sound Elijah made when starting the car. The sound of keys jingled in her hands, rubbing her metal surfaces against her hand. One steel key ran its teeth along the top of the ignition before Elijah turned it and awoke the engine. As the car began to roll out of the parking lot where we previously were, the air conditioning slowly began to rush air through the car, keeping Elijah and me at a perfect temperature. I could tell that Elijah was focused on driving. She had already mapped out the directions to the gala before she even came to my door, so she was following her mental roadmap to the location in question. However, the silence that lingered between us ran uncomfortable waves along my nerves. We were going out on a date, for God's sake. We needed to strike up a conversation on the way there.
I'm thinking about how to get to the gala. I didn't exactly program it into my GPS.
You did it? Why?
I have good memory, but I still need to focus on remembering all of the directions so we don't get lost. Thank you.
I couldn't help but laugh a bit. Elijah always did have a little bit of an inflated ego when it comes to her driving. It was cute. It just proved that she was human and not some bland robotic like being. I love that part of her.
What? What's so funny?
You're cute when you know what you're doing. I knew that I made her blush from the stammer that escaped her lips.
Just shut up.
Hmm. On we drove towards the gala. Elijah knew how long it would take to get there. I got to play the guessing game of how much longer I had to sit in the car. Some small part of me rather enjoyed the idea of not knowing how long it took to get to the gala. I couldn't explain it, but something about being ignorant about the time and distance made the trip interesting. Maybe it was because I got to spend time with Elijah. Maybe it was because I was finally out of the house. I knew the answer deep down. Regardless, I held on to that enjoyment mentally before letting Elijah break my thoughts.
Mind if I ask you something?
I turned my head slightly to Elijah, surprised at the question. Why was she asking if I minded? She was free to ask anything with me. What made whatever was on her mind change her? I replied anyway, wanting to see where this was going to go. Huh? Sure. What is it? I waited. What did she want to ask me? It sounded important just from her tone, but she remained silent.
Sorry, it's stupid.
Huh? What was that? Did I accidentally save it? Oh, if it was important to her, I was willing to hear her out. She didn't have to hide anything from me unless it was really something she didn't want to say. Ledger let out a sigh before
Can
speaking
I be
in.
honest with you?
Oh my god, you're breaking up with me, aren't you? Where did this come from?
I've been thinking about us.
Oh fuck.
I
Oh,
knew
don't say
it.
bad
I knew
words.
this bitch was gonna do that. I knew she was planning that shit. She doesn't want to grow up
About
independent.
us?
Whether or not what I'm doing and what you're doing is. How do I say it?
Elijah, are you having...
No, it's not that. I'm just.
What do you think? What's on your mind?
Oh. Silent lingered in the air, filling me with a small form of dread. Was this really happening? We didn't even get to the gala yet, and here she was, dropping a scary bomb.
I feel like I'm babying you when I shouldn't be, yet I can't help it. I want to. I really don't know how to say this. There are times I wonder if you'll be able to help me as I help you. If I'm in trouble, will you be there?
Oh
I
no,
think about
what's
this all the
happening?
time, and yet I know the answer.
Yeah, it's gonna be a one-way street. She's gonna have to be there for him at all times.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks, and you can't really blame her. Oh,
Will you?
will you? Well, hmm. I promise. I'm here now, right? She was just concerned. It was natural in a relationship to think of these doubts.
Yes, you are here now.
Maybe that should be your sign.
My sign?
I moved my hand to try and find hers on the steering wheel. Elijah let out a small gasp before moving her hand and gently nudging it against mine. I took her hand and gave it a loving squeeze. The fact that I'm still here, alive, should be your sign. If we weren't meant to be together, I don't think we would be here together in the same car right now. Right now. Oh no, I don't think she liked that.
Whoa.
I didn't want to make her upset since she was already fragile about the memory. However, as her hand gently squeezed mine, I smiled. She understood. I knew that I was telling the truth. We continued holding hands during the car ride to the gala. Alright, go on, I'm gonna hold my hand then. Eventually, we finally slowed and parked the car. I assumed we had arrived, so as the car was turned off, I unbuckled my seat belt and exited the car. I stood by my car door, holding out my arm for Elijah and waiting for her to circle around the vehicle. As her arm looped around mine, I gently pulled her close to me and began to walk. Elijah led the way, but we were at last at the gala. The faint sound of chatter slowly began to grow louder with each step that we took. As Elijah suddenly stopped walking, I recoiled back a bit to try and stop. Elijah supported me to staying upright, but I knew something was up. What is...
Hey!
Hey, bestie. Lewis's voice reverberated through the air in our direction, forcing me to look in its direction. A pair of footsteps made its way to us, making me assume that he had to come meet us. He had come to
It's
greet
been a
us.
while.
That it has. You look beautiful.
Thank you.
Lewis. I held my arm out in the direction I thought he was in, and felt him take it, affirming my thoughts. We shook hands and he chuckled.
So have you finally given up on the life of being a recluse?
Don't count on it just yet. Let's see how tonight goes. It's been months since I've been out after all.
Very true. Well, I certainly am glad you're here. People have been asking about you like crazy.
Lois laughed, making me laugh as well. It was good to hear him not from a set of computer
I talk about you
speakers.
all the time because you deserve fame. If you didn't, I would never even associate with you.
I don't know whether or not to feel complimented or insulted.
Take it however you like. Everyone here knows about you, whether you like it or not.
Mm. Are you serious?
Yeah. I may have talked about your upcoming book at a couple of interviews, so you may be a little famous.
You've been talking about his book? It hasn't even come out yet on his blog.
I couldn't help it. The last couple of chapters were so interesting. I had to rev up some hype for it.
My chest began to tighten. He knows it. It was my first book, and yet now everyone here assumingly knew about it before it even came out. I expected some familiarity with the other guests, but to be known for a hype book? I couldn't stop the nerves in my body from quaking. Luckily, Elijah gently squeezed my arm, calming me down with her touch. It was good to have her by my side to keep me grounded.
Still, you should have asked about publicly talking about the book first before revealing anything.
I know, I'm sorry. Forgive me?
Mhm. All right. He just wanted to help make my dream come true. It was exciting for both of us since he was both my best friend and my editor. I turned my head to Elijah, nodding to her. Come on, let's get inside. I gently pulled on Elijah's arm, mentioning her to guide me inside. The nerves inside would fade with each step I'd take. Whatever he shared, I had to be ready to be questioned. We stepped into a space that sounded like the inside of a chapel. Tile or marble lined the floor, echoing the sound of Elijah's heels up from the surface. Lewis helped us through the space and told us the gala was an outdoor event. I sighed a bit to myself. At least I'd have fresh air to help me calm down. The moment we stepped outside, I could feel the subtle pressure of eyes staring into my form from all directions. We didn't make any sort of grand entrance, but the people around us and ahead of us were curious as to who I was, turning the gaze at me and stare me down. Part of me felt like retreating. I couldn't lock eyes with anyone, nor could I take in my surroundings visually. My other senses became almost overloaded as my nerves tingled from the stares on me. Was I hallucinating? Maybe I was. Maybe my body was imagining danger for the sake of scaring me back to my apartment. Still, I couldn't help but recognize the feeling of being stared at in my body.
Yeah?
I had to know. I had to affirm my senses, and Elijah was the one with the ability to
Yeah.
see.
Everyone in the room has their eyes on you.
As much as the thought made my nerves jump around, I was thankful that she was honest with me. I nodded to her before taking a breath. Elijah began to guide me further into the event area where I became surrounded by hushed whispers and stares. I gulped silently. This really wasn't how I intended to return. I must have looked like some sort of jerk wearing sunglasses at night. I had to wear them though. I didn't need to open my eyes and letting people stare at my closed eyes. At my closed eyes was, according to Elijah, awkward. They were pretty generic shades though, so I hoped that I didn't look entirely like a pompous jerk. Eventually, we stopped with Elijah pulling my arm back to halt my walk. I heard the soft fizz of drinks near us as someone assumedly a server
Would you care
spoke.
for a drink?
I shook my head. As much as a drink sounded good, I wasn't in the mood for a drink at that moment. We had only just arrived. As I felt someone reach around me, I scooted to the side to the person to give the person room.
Relax, it's just me. You may not want champagne, but I always make sure to have a glass in my hand.
Let me understand anything. Ugh.
It's almost over anyway. Not.
champagne? I couldn't tell. Looks like fizzy water to me.
Huh? How could you tell? Are you sure? Wow. I cannot believe I fell for that.
I let out a small laugh as Elijah let out a groan at my blind joke. I had to relax somehow, so making a couple of bad jokes were the perfect ways to make my body ease up. Galas were meant to be fun. If I could enjoy the scenery, I had to adjust my enjoyment. I had to relax. Soon enough, I wasn't just gazed upon anymore. I was approached by random people, being asked about my work and about my book. I didn't spoil anything. As a writer, you never want to give spoiler details about your stories before they are finished. I took pride in keeping every secret about the story mere secrets. I was introduced to fellow writers, editors, publishers, and readers as time marched on without a care. There were so many things I missed about social events. Meeting new people was one of them. Each new voice I heard, I tried to memorize. Since I couldn't compliment their outfits or face, I settled for the way they talked and the way they laughed. It was a new kind of game for me. Instead of describing colors, patterns, or visual appearances, I had to mentally note pitches, tones, textures, and anything else my other senses could catch. It was stunning to think about, but something about how my disability forced me to use my other senses made my world seem less material and more descriptive. There were tastes to savor, smells to endure and inhale, sounds to drown in, and surfaces to run my fingers along. One of one being the arm of Elijah. I felt that all of this could make my writing stronger. I could delve into this new world my lack of sight put me in. Being locked up in my apartment barred me from truly experiencing these new sensations. It was a good idea to come. However, I could feel Elijah getting antsy. Was she cold? Are you okay?
Yeah, it's nothing.
I could tell she was lying just from the sound of her voice. Why would she lie? I can practically feel your anxiousness for something through your arm. What's wrong?
I want to dance.
Oh, she wants to dance.
You dance.
You can't see it, but there's a dance floor. There's a bunch of couples dancing together.
Oh, I feel bad for her because it's like she wants to be taken care of. She probably wants her boyfriend to open the car door for her, to drive for her, pick up groceries for her, do normal couple things. It's kind of like you and I when we're, halfway across the world. It's kind of similar to that. You and I both want to do normal stuff, but it's hard. So it makes you like, oh, you gotta settle with just a WhatsApp call.
Wasn't it?
Dance? My mind went blank at the idea, unsure of how to feel. I really didn't need my eyes to dance, but seeing her made any dance much more memorable than any sense could describe. I felt waves of different emotions rush at me all at once. I felt anxious, nervous, confused, sad and blank all at once. I wasn't sure of what to say. However, I knew that she really wanted to dance just from the way she held my arm. She gripped to it, wanting so much to pull me towards the dance floor, but she remained
Don't worry
still.
about it. We can keep mingling.
Let's dance. Hell, I'm surprised myself. I looked in her direction and smiled gently, letting her know visually that I was serious. I could practically hear a smile grow onto her face as she gently led me to the dance floor, away from the group that wanted us to join their chatter. I didn't care for their words. I wanted to make Elijah happy. If dancing made her happy, then I was willing to dance with her. Elijah finally stopped and moved to stand in front of me. I wrapped one arm around her as she lifted. Well, I suppose you don't need to have a lot of you just hug and then you just move around. Slowly, we began to sway to the music around us, letting the soft rhythm guide our bodies side to side. Sure, I wasn't able to see her face, but I knew that Elijah was smiling like an angel. The memory of such a sight made my heart both squeeze in pain and inflate with joy. I gently pulled her body closer to me, wanting to simply feel her warmth. After a small, cute gasp, Elijah stepped closer to me to get even closer. Despite not being able to see her, I still loved the warmth of her body and the smell of her perfume. Both reminded me constantly that she was with me. I wasn't in heaven or in any purgatory. I was here with her. In exchange for my eyes, I got to stay around and be with the one I loved. For moments like this, it was a fair trade. I felt Elijah lay her head against my shoulder, causing me to gently nuzzle her with my cheek. You know, you can't blame me if I step on your toes. I felt her lips crease into a smile against my shoulder.
Then you won't mind if I lead the dance?
It's not like I could see where I'm going anyway. We both laughed, which surprised me. Did she relax at last? Sure, it would take a while for her not to be annoyed by jokes against myself, but this seemed like a dream. She was dancing with me in my arms and laughing. I couldn't have been happier. We let the music guide us all the way until the final note of the song. As the song ended, we gently pulled away from each other and I could feel Elijah stretch up to kiss my cheek.
Thank you.
You're welcome. With a smile, I gently pulled her to my side. Elijah looped her arm under mine and guided me off the dance floor, leading me somewhere.
Enjoy yourself on the dance floor?
I had to admit it. I was worried over nothing. Nothing bad ever came out of dancing with Elijah. In fact, I even made her happy. That made me happy. I, however, smirked in the direction of Lucy's voice. I'm surprised you didn't dance with Tyler. Yeah, about that. Okay. I tilted my head slightly. Was something wrong? Lewis cleared his throat before
First,
speaking
let's get more
again.
champagne. I'm out, and I need
I
more
bet
class.
he split up with his husband.
You think so?
Just on over.
I almost sounded like a gunshot. Elijah gripped to my arm, almost blocking blood flow, and I instantly turned my head to the sound. Oh, drizzling fizzy liquid reached my ears. I put two and two together. A bottle of champagne was popped open behind us.
Hey, watch where you're popping that! You scared the poor woman!
My apologies, sir.
Hey, it's okay. I reached my free hand across my body and gently laid it against Elijah's arm, which was tense. Did the pop shock her that badly? I gently pulled her closer to me, trying to find and pet her head. She flinched at my touch, but she didn't fight back.
I'll be right back.
Oh no! Trauma triggered! Elijah suddenly released my arm and began to walk away from me. I instinctively reached out, but someone placed their hand on my shoulder.
Let her go. She needs to relax. That idiot popping the bottles set her off.
I knew that sudden noises freaked Elijah out, but I had never experienced such a tense reaction. Did she look okay?
No, she looked dead pale.
I felt terrible. I couldn't do anything to help her despite being the one she clung on to. Was I really that useless? Lewis knew that something was wrong, so he tightened his grip on my shoulder.
Hey, don't be so hard on yourself, okay? She just needs a little time to breathe. She can't do that when she's clinging to you. I know, it's rough, but trust her, okay? She'll be fine.
I let out a sigh. She just needed some time to relax. I would stay until she returned. I turned to the direction of Lewis's voice, trying to relax myself as well. Now, you still haven't told me about Tyler. Why isn't he here?
He didn't come. He said he didn't want to.
Oh, he didn't want to? Why?
Well, Tyler and I have been, well, let's just say we've been having some disagreements as of late.
Okay. Disagreements?
Yeah, Tyler has been trying to get into psychology, which I support him in all, but he's been so obsessed with it.
That's right, Luck. It's fucking boring.
Hey!
But we gotta finish it.
Finish it. Come on, hurry up.
Nathan's gonna pick a game and then he just picks a really shitty, boring one. Jesus fuck Christ. Alright. What do you mean
He's
by
been
that?
watching me like a hawk ever since he started interning at a local clinic. He keeps taking notes on what I eat, what I read, everything. He won't stop. I've asked him to stop multiple times, but he keeps saying that he's practicing for his internship. At first I was okay with it, but now it's almost freaky.
Nathan's getting absolutely destroyed again. I heard Louis sigh and chug down a drink before continuing. He must have been pretty upset about all of
Eventually,
this.
I started going out more. I've practically memorized the layout of my town by how many times I've walked through it. I just needed to get away from him. But whenever I get home, he starts questioning me. Where did you go? Who did you see? Why are you leaving the house? Over and over and over again.
Oh, well, Louis's husband is a little bit of psycho. I mean, who does that? Taking note of everything you do. Ooh, suffocating is what you call it.
I understand that he's trying to be a better analyzer and stuff, but he's practically choking me.
Damn.
Yeah, it does.
Well, what are you going to do?
That's the thing. I don't know. I love him, but I just...
I wanted to support him, but it was his relationship. I didn't need to get involved, yeah. I reached out and gave him a pat on the shoulder, using his hand on my shoulder as a guide to land on target. It'll be fine, man. Just let it go for now and keep doing what you're doing. He'll come around.
I hope so.
Louis let out another sigh and chugged yet another drink down before tightening his grip on my shoulder.
Can I be honest?
What's up?
Is it bad that I sometimes envy you?
Envy me? Why would anyone envy me? I write, eat pizza, and play with Ashley every day. Sometimes I'd eat Chinese food instead, but my life wasn't
For
grand.
you not being able to see. Instead of pushing you away or pestering you, the one you love is taking care of you. I know I sound so wrong, and I know that it doesn't make sense, but at least you're being taken care of and stuff. I'm struggling to even keep my relationship from falling apart. Really?
Yeah, we have our issues. I'm blind for God's sake. She has to deal with me and my issues all the time. It was true. She was taking care of me and I couldn't do anything to help her, even when she had her own struggles. It's rough when you can't help the one you're with. Think about it like that instead. What would you do if Tyler was blind? If you loved him, you would help him. So why not help him now? He wants to be good at his job, and you pushing him away isn't helping.
You're right.
You know it. I gave Lois a gentle squeeze on the shoulder before releasing him and letting out a sigh. I felt bad for being a burden Elijah had to carry, but I was still thankful. Hey, what
Huh?
time is it?
Oh, it's 8:59. It's almost time for the fireworks.
Fireworks?
Huh?
Fireworks?
Yeah, didn't I tell you?
No, you didn't tell me. Oh my god, what's gonna happen to Elijah? As my words ended, oh, she's gonna have. Yeah, bursting one by one and earning applause from people. My mind, however, began to fly back to the popping champagne and how violently Elijah reacted to it. I guess this is the twist now. If she was set off by a simple pop, then fireworks would be hell on earth for her. I have to find her. I quickly turned to leave and tried to find Elijah, but Lewis grabbed my arm, stopping me.
Hold on!
I instantly pulled my hand out from Lewis's grasp. I had no time to waste. I had to find Elijah and make sure she was okay. I began to push through crowds, uncaring of who I bumped into. The problem was that I didn't know which direction I was going. I stopped, panicked. Did you see a woman go through here? I tried to describe her from memory, remembering what she told me she
Yeah,
looked
I
like.
think she went towards the restrooms. Do you need help?
No, just push me in the right direction, thanks. I felt hands guide me in the direction I needed to go, urging me forward. The fireworks kept booming above me, making my heart beat faster with each explosion. Come on, where are you? I kept moving only to stop at the sound of crying. The voice behind the whimpers was one I knew. Elijah! I bolted in the direction of the crying. As I rushed forward, I felt myself move farther away from the event area. Did Elijah really go that far away? Okay. I slowed my running as I got closer to Elijah's cries, eventually going to a slow walk. Her voice came from below, and I knew that I had approached her form. I stopped right as my shins gently brushed against her, letting me know that she was curled into herself. She flinched at my touch and quickly scooted away from me, only to make me go on my knees and reach for her. I was hovering directly over her body, feeling her gasp and shudder both from fear of what I would do and from the explosions above us. I remained still, deciding what to do.
Leave her be. She needs space.
I turned to yell at him, but Elijah made a small whimpering noise, stopping me. Elijah?
I'm sorry.
I heard her shift on the ground before Lewis moved past me and stood by Elijah. She let out a small grunt, letting me know that Lewis was helping her up.
Let's go.
You're not going anywhere until you calm down. I'll take him home. I know you want to stay, but this time, she needs to relax on her own. I'll bring her home when she calms down, okay? She's not well enough to bring you back, so I have to. Don't fight me on this. She's not the only one taking care of you, and right now, she can't.
Okay. I couldn't say anything more. I had to let Lewis take control of the situation. It's not like I could have done anything. It was over. The night eventually became a memory to look back on. Thinking about it, I didn't know if there was anything I would have changed. I went with. Oh. One thing was for certain, though. They truly did love each other. Oh, I almost didn't recognize the joy in Lewis's voice when he told me about a date he and Tyler had planned. I was happy for him. As for my book, I finally finished it. The book became a bestseller in the romance genre. The story of a hero saving the one he loved captured the hearts of many who read it. Many companies begged to represent me for my next books. I was even approached to make my book a film. How crazy was that? Still, I had a long way to go before I could call myself a successful writer. As for Elijah, however, we became closer than before. After that night, Elijah began to call me more often to check on me and visited me every night. I was beyond happy to have her. Not only did she help clean the house and play with Ashley, but she made sure I didn't always eat delivery by cooking dinner each time she came. Man, was she an amazing cook. Eventually, I would ask her to move in with me. I loved her dearly and never wanted to leave her side. Until then, we would build our love to a perfect romance. And almost perfect.
Oh,
Oh, so close yet not enough. Oh.
what
Oh my god!
mean?
So what was the perfect ending then? Had I don't know.
Alright, give a review to this game. What's the ending? Right, talk a bit about the game for 2 minutes.
Well, I suppose blind love is about well, somehow I like that it's realistic about how well couples they're quite different, aren't they? But it can parallel other couples as well struggling in a similar way. But apart from that, I was actually thinking there should be more to it. But it was well, I got to practice my reading, I suppose. But that's about it. Nothing. There's nothing special about it. I don't think. I mean, story was nice, but 4.
4 out of 10? Fucking hell.
It's like I'm just practicing my reading. There was nothing nothing special about it. It wasn't memorable. I well, I suppose the story's nice, quite different, but still nothing memorable.
Well, this was 79 pence from Steam, so it's a very cheap game. I just don't. This is your account. I guess like you must have picked it up, or I might have bought it for you. I can't remember, but there was just nothing interesting story-wise in this game, apart from the initial event where you go blind, and he starts with that. But he's already a good writer. He seems to be able to, there don't seem to be any really conflict with the romance. She's like always kind of there. You've got a dog that doesn't really do anything. You expect like there's going to be something with the dog, but nothing. It just isn't interesting. How did it end? It ended with like some fireworks going off, and she was scared, and then we kind of like tried to cradle her, but Lewis was cradling her instead. And then it kind of gave us a little bit of like what you want to call the end information. Like Lewis got together with his boyfriend, and we got almost perfect ending. She's still moving in, I suppose, and cooking for us. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if we're lovers or not. I don't know. It's just not that interesting, isn't it? You would have thought a story about a blind guy going blind and he has a girlfriend would like be somewhat interesting, and it just doesn't play out. It's just so mundane. There's no events in there that kind of like makes you question stuff. Yeah, nothing stirred the pot. Yeah, there's no drama. It's just so plain. Boring even, and I don't want to be mean because, this is a small development team. I'm sure they might even see this because how many people is going to play this? It's not a well-known game. Music's quite nice.
Yeah.
Presentation's actually okay. It just, again, the story needs to be a little deeper. It feels very surface level, very shallow. What do you think, Audie, for the little snippets of you? I know you missed a lot of it, but what the little snippets you got? What did you take from this game? Because I never really took a whole lot, to be honest. It's one of the games. It's not going to stick with you more than 5 minutes. There's nothing to it. And fuck playing this again to get a better ending is like you don't care about the characters. Pretty boring. Nothing much really. Yeah, it's like me. It's fluff.
Yeah, nothing much really. That's it.
Nothing much really. Exactly. That's what this game is. Nothing much really. Is like what can I say about it? The character's not even likable. You can't even really relate all that much. I mean, I don't know about it.
More like a storybook, not a game.
Yeah, it's what you call a graphic novel with some choices, but the choices seem very lightweight anyway, and
Not even a graphic novel.
Yeah, there's just much better games out there to. If you want the feels, yeah, it's much better out there. Look at Florence. We played Florence last week. That was a much better game about struggling relationships. which was a lot more interesting visually and from a gameplay perspective, much more interesting as well. Right, is there anything else you want to add about this? Nothing much really. That's how we're going to end it. Sadly, this was not a real winner, so anyway, thanks for watching.